Our failures teach us more than our successes. This is something that Suneel Gupta said during our interview, and it's stuck with me ever since. Succeeding is awesome, succeeding is cool. It's the culmination of a lot of work shown that it has worked. When we succeed in something, it seems like the goalpost moves. You go from saying, "Oh, I wanted this person on my podcast episode," to getting him, and then saying, "Well, now that I got him, I want to get this person on my podcast episode." It redefines our reality when we succeed because we know that the work that we've put in, the things that we've done have gotten put into fruition and have gotten you the result that you wanted. However, with failure, in and of itself, when you fail and you're able to get back up and keep going, it teaches you far more than succeeding ever will. There's an amazing Stanford professor, I forgot his name, but he said, I would rather fail and know why than succeed and not know why. Like you might be somebody that's always gotten handed stuff in his life that's gotten very lucky, but it's been from the ether, right? It's like, oh, I've gotten lucky just because it kind of happened. I don't know why. And then there's the other end of the stick where the person says, "No, I'm successful because I failed so many times and got put in a different direction that it led me to this point." When you fail, it takes a certain person to say, "Wow, that sucked, but this is not going to define who I am. I have to get out of this." A lot of people seem to not get something done right and then quit way before the goal that they wanted would come into fruition. 95% of podcasts don't make it past episode 20 because they see that there isn't immediate results. There isn't positive reinforcement right away to where they can say, wow, on the fifth episode, I got 100,000 plays. I'm ready for this. No, you got to be okay with having no plays for an extended period of time. There were weeks when I had no plays and I kept going. It was never about the metrics. I think if I made my podcast about the metrics, it would have failed from the start. But it was more about what I can learn from it. It was more about who I can have on the podcast as opposed to listen. If I get 5 listens, that's okay. I don't care. I had cool people on my show. This guy was awesome. I got to speak with him for an hour about the business that he runs. I loved it. I don't care if I got 5 views. People seem to want things fast. They seem to want it now, and they're not okay with not receiving it in the near future. They say, listen, if I do this business and I don't succeed in the first week, I'm not going to keep doing it. It's interesting because it's a contradiction to what Gary Shoniger says. Gary Shoniger says, when I had him on the show, he said it's a lot of micro experimentation. However, I think you need to allow your micro experimentation to put you in a certain direction. You can't just start everything for a day and hope it works out. But if you start things for a couple weeks, but you actually try and you're intentional, that's when your results can happen. But the thing is, the failure is just a misbalance in direction. The failure that you receive, it's not you are a horrible person. It's like, hey, this thing that you try to do didn't really work out, but that's okay. Try this. I've talked about it before, but I think about failure. When you're on the highway and you go a little bit to the right or you go a little bit off track, you go a little bit off road. There's a little bumps, little boop, 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 the little bump, 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 bump that when you hit, it's kind of loud and you're like, oh my God, and you go back. That means you're getting off center. That's how I think about failure. Failure is not you falling off of the ditch and crashing your car. It's you just getting a little bit off the center, off the line that you're supposed to go to. It's saying, oh, okay, this thing didn't work. I'm gonna just go a little bit here, and maybe this will help me, right? It's not about, oh, I put everything into it and it failed. Now I have to quit. It's more about small. So when Gary says micro experimentation, to think about it, you have to put a lot of small reps into something, but then do it in a smart and diligent enough way to where you can see results. In a business, it doesn't make sense that in the first 7 days you're gonna make $10,000. It's not gonna happen. Maybe you make your first sale, maybe you get the first person interested, and maybe just based off of how you measure metrics, maybe you're more worried about the long-term vision, and therefore it's okay that you're not getting your first customer right away. It all depends on how you think about it. That's why I'm so interested in mindset. But back to the conversation of failure teaches you more than success ever will. It's the fact that success can be luck. And oftentimes it is luck. And luck is different, right? We don't have to get into this conversation. Sometimes you're lucky because it happens. Sometimes you're lucky because you've done things so many times to where you had no other choice but to get lucky. But I'm saying some people get handed everything. Some people seem to just get lucky with so many things. And it makes you think, like, do they ever appreciate the fact that there are people who have worked for everything they've had, for everything they've gotten? I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I don't have the answer to that. But when you fail, it tests your character more than it tests the thing you're doing. It's like, are you okay that, like, hey, you look like an idiot for a second, but you can get back up, people are gonna forget about it, and you're gonna keep going. It's funny because I always think about it from another person's perspective. I have my book coming out November 15th. It was supposed to come out November 8th. At the time of this recording, it's October 30th. The thing is, I push it back a week, and I thought to myself, listen, people aren't going to remember that I push it back a week, but I'm going to remember when I couldn't do X, I couldn't do Y, I couldn't do Z. In a way, it's a micro failure. Like, listen, I can't fulfill the promise I made of having it on October 8th, or November 8th. So I'm gonna have to do November 15th. And it sucks. People are probably gonna see it and be like, "Oh my God, he pushed it a week back. What did you do?" And blah blah blah, whatever. They're gonna talk about it, but I don't care because I know this is for the long term good. And also, people don't seem to remember your failures; they only seem to remember your successes. I think a big portion of this as well is people don't see a lot of your failures as well. If you can fail in silence, if you can fail in the dark, when I'm by myself in my room, it makes it easier to go out, and then people see these successes and think to themselves, "Oh my God, this person's so lucky. This person did so, he never had it hard, but." You did, and you know. And even me talking about the fact that some people got everything handed to them, I bet some of those people worked for everything, but it's hard to know how hard people worked for stuff because you don't see it. By definition, if somebody's working in the dark, if somebody's working by themselves in a room, you can't monitor them through a camera, right? You just have to be like, wow, like I think that's awesome that they did this thing. When you fail, get back up and reposition yourself. It's proving to yourself, it's building your confidence. I define confidence as proof within yourself that you're able to achieve the things that you said you would. And the big word there is proof. If you can keep failing and getting back up, you're providing proof for yourself that you can do this thing. Oh, you failed again? Cool, you failed 8 times last month. This is just another rep. Of course, you're confident. You've done this thing 15 times already, failed every single time, and now it's working. How would you not be confident compared to the person that got it lucky and got it done the first try? And I do want to disseminate the fact that I do mean lucky. I'm not talking about, oh, I don't understand what these guys are going through. And like when I say lucky, it's because I don't see all the work they've put in. I'm talking about real lucky. Like they do one thing and then it just happened to work out, as opposed to the person that tried 13 different things, never found it, but then on the 14th found it. He appreciates it more. And it's interesting because in life, I'm even thinking about this. If you want to become the strongest person you can from a character standpoint, you want those failures. You don't want to succeed on the first time. Yes, everybody might want to succeed on the first time, but again, depending on how you're measuring it, depending on your metrics, if you're trying to optimize your life for having the best test of character, you're going to get tested a lot and you're going to want to be put in positions where you get tested, right? So you might as well try, you might as well fail, you might as well get back up. I fail all the time and it always teaches me something. I mean, from reaching out to people to writing copy for my ads to spending money on things, I always, always, always am failing at things that you guys might not see, but it solidifies my understanding of it. I know this ad wasn't the best, or the way that I titled this episode didn't get as many clicks. Like it's a micro failure, but the next episode it got 2 times more views. So maybe I'm going in the right direction. Here's what I did here, but then didn't do there. Failure, failure, failure. You have to fail if you want to appreciate how valuable something is. If you get something for the first time, if somebody says, hey, here's a $100 bill that they just found on the ground, you're not going to value it as much as somebody who found a $100 bill and then it started flying in the wind and they chased it around for a mile and a half until they finally caught it. Then it's more valuable to you, right? Why do you guys think that people price things so much higher when they feel a connection towards it? Somebody's artwork there is priced so much higher than it should be. You look at this picture of this guy standing in the woods that somebody drew, and you think, I'd give somebody $10 for it, but the artist says, I'll sell it for $100 minimum because it took me so long. I know the work that I put in. When you fail, when you test your character, those successes are a result of the failures. And you can be assured that the fact that you failed so many times did have an end, but you either succeed or you quit before you succeed. There's no in between. So keep pushing yourself. This is a lesson I'm trying to take away, especially writing this book, is you just keep pushing. You got to go. If you give up, if you stop, you're never going to know what was at the end of this road, or even what's right now. I'm not even close to the end of my road, but just seeing the little things that are popping up, right? Some things are going well, some things are not. It's dealing with the problems all by myself, guys. This whole book launch is just me. I'm failing. I'm doing a bad job with certain aspects, but I'm trying my best, and that's all you can ask for. I'm learning from these failures to help me in turn succeed. You don't succeed and then keep succeeding and then keep succeeding. You fail, 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 and then use all those failures combined to put the puzzle pieces together and say, wait a second, why didn't I think about this? Let me try this. And then it succeeds. You put it all together. In retrospect, looking back, it makes so much sense. But looking forward, it's hard to know what's in the way because you can't tell time. And understanding this lesson that you guys are going to understand things from looking back on it that you can't right now. Same thing, as teenagers, as adults, however old you guys are. If you think about yourself 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, there's things that you didn't understand that you do now, and it might make more sense for you right now because you're like, oh yeah, that's why that person was telling me to do that. That's why this person told me to stay in school. That's why this person told me to start a business if I want to do XYZ. It's hard to know at the time, but take people's advice. Fail all the time. That's the most you can ask of it. Guys, November 15th, my book is launching. Go to elongelfand.com/book. Get the first chapter of it for free. I'm very excited, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you for listening.